Hello everybody, I'm Mike Levin, and today I'm going to talk about planning a future in tech. And for that I'm going to draw two timeline scales. One here, one here. And these are both, of course, going into the future. This one I'm going to start at the beginning of around 1996 when everything started happening. This one I'm going to start around 1970 when things started happening. So the big innovations back here around 96 was, of course, the web. It had been around for a while, but it was just coming on its own. And I guess we've got to acknowledge what a profound impact Google has had. And for the sake of this discussion, I'm even going to just talk about things like YouTube and Facebook. So you're standing here, let's say around 2014, right about here. Of course, we're on this side, but now what's happening is there's a tidal wave of possibilities rushing towards us. And there's this line here of the possible. And things coming from the future come and rush through and break through that line. And what we're doing here with our eyes, we are looking into the future of what's possible. And if you see things that are becoming possible, dots that were previously unconnected, that you think you can now connect the dots and do something that nobody else did before, you are in a race to implement. Both faster sooner and better than anyone else. Those are the three things that you have to do when you see something coming that is absolutely going to be mainstream and popular. Yeah, I'll throw you a softball. This is way into the future, but one of them is silent text messaging. There's a lot of ways of saying that, but basically it's secret communication. And when that's possible, the world changes because people are going to be able to zap their thoughts to each other at the speed of thought, and you won't even know people are talking to each other. That's a reality that was sort of visualized in Werner Vinge's Rainbow's End book, missing possessive apostrophe. And he's right, it's on its way. And there's a lot of other things like that. I put YouTube here because another example is that when Flash added video support, you would think it was the creators of Flash, Macromedia or Adobe who would benefit, but no, it was this little company YouTube that decided to make the community video upload site that took advantage, that released the potential that was created by Flash supporting video. And YouTube is an example of one person who saw that possibility, raced to implement, did it faster, sooner, and better, and there you had YouTube. There are unlimited numbers of things like that. But the reason I draw this other time scale here is a real education about technology. We think that the web was this super big breakthrough, and indeed it was, but there's an underpinning of almost all technology that started around 1970. Then when it got up to around, say, 2006, it got a really big boon from the Mac switching over to Unix. What am I talking about? Well, around 1970, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie created Unix. And Unix, just like the web up here, wasn't the only big breakthrough. There were a couple others that went hand in hand. The C language, and there's an interrelationship between Unix and C that we'll talk about more in the future, making C, and not C++, not Objective-C, but plain old C, a language different from all others, a special category. But the other big innovation back around here was TCP/IP, which is the network protocol that the internet is based on. And these things together, Unix, C, and TCP/IP, really became the underlying foundation of technology. All other languages, all other operating systems are really built on a Unix/Linux foundation. And it's really good to know that foundation, and for you yourself to be standing here in 2004 on the same foundation as so many other things in our world. Well, what else is built on this foundation? Well, there is the iPhone with iOS, that's Unix underneath. There's Android. There's almost everything built in. You're seeing things like wearables. Instead of saying built in, everything wearable, because wearable is the big keyword these days. Everything wearable is based on Unix or Linux, as is iOS, as is Android, as is almost everything else coming in the future, with possibly the exception of Windows itself, which arguably is built on this same foundation, because going back far enough, you're going to find that even Windows was compiled originally on some sort of Unix system. Maybe not anymore, but back in the day. So we will acknowledge there is this other layer of other, if I can spell, other than Unix, Linux, which is still kind of going there. It's the foundation for some stuff. It's going into the future, just like Unix, Linux is. But if you want to be looking into that tidal wave of stuff coming, of stuff that's possible, your very best position is on top of that same foundation of Unix and Linux. And this is not the language. We're not talking about your choice between Java and JavaScript and Python and C. It's not a language decision. It's things like the command set, everything having to do with getting the equipment booted, and a few other things like remote package installers and all the other things that make the technology foundation, the operating system, consistent, so that your knowledge is transferable between systems far into the future. By learning to program at a relatively low level, you'll still be using a language, but to know how to operate very close to the a Unix or Linux operating system, you're going to be able to switch from phone platform to phone platform, from wearable platform to wearable platform, and of course still continue to be very functional and capable on the desktop, which will probably be around quite a bit into the future as well. Thank you. That's planning a future in tech by positioning yourself here.